Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am an astrologer and I make videos all about astrology. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be discussing the 5 things that you need to know about this new moon solar eclipse taking place in the sign of Scorpio on the 25th of October 2022. So stay tuned. But before we do dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and click the bell. And if you are interested in a personal reading from myself, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my Practical Astrology ebooks and merch. All the links will be in the description box below. I do hope that you find this video to be helpful today. Let's do this. Alright, so the first thing you need to know about this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is that it will conjunct the sun in Scorpio at 2 degrees. The sun and moon will be at 2 degrees. And the number 2 in numerology represents things like support, love, harmony, intuition, understanding, mediating, counseling, grace, unity, peacemaking. But the thing is that there are just so many 2s going on during this eclipse. Yes, the sun and moon will be 2 degrees, but Venus will also be joining the party at 2 degrees. And then Mercury will be in Libra at 22 degrees, which is a master number. And Venus, naturally, is about love, harmony, and unity. It's greatly to do with relationships and our self-worth as well. Though more on Venus shortly. Still, this moon, I believe, is largely about connection, intimacy, and deepening our bonds with others, specifically our emotional bonds. Will there be fears? Will there be projections that come up? Sure. Will we be forced to push boundaries and overcome? Most likely. But is this an opportunity for us to transform and grow, especially growing within our relationships, growing within ourselves, looking at our emotional intelligence there? Yeah, absolutely. Scorpio is all about transformation and experiencing these death and rebirth transitions. However, things like pride, ego, and stubbornness can be our greatest downfalls. So be careful not to let these things dominate. You might want to hold on tightly to what is familiar. But this new moon in Scorpio is communicating this message of explore the unknown. Do the thing that scares you the most. Open yourself up to what exists on the other side of fear. So what does this look like? Well, this could look like joining a new club or group, opening up about your pain to a loved one or about your heartache, reaching out for help even if you think you can manage everything on your own, signing up for that program, standing up for yourself, setting firm boundaries, meeting new people, or deciding to turn things around in your life, or choosing to trust and to let people in. Now, we experienced a lunar eclipse in Scorpio back in May. So this was on the 16th of May 2022. And during that time, the moon was at 7 degrees, pointing towards themes of depth, hidden knowledge, mystery, spirituality, intelligence, and looking beneath the surface. All very much Scorpio themes. And during that time, perhaps things you buried came to light, or you cut a few things out of your life. I know for me, I had a big clear out during that time, which really helped me mentally. A mental purge, if you will. Perhaps in your case, you reinvented yourself in some way, or you experienced some type of powerful release. And so with this next eclipse approaching, it's time to build momentum again. Momentum. And by May 5th, 2023, there will be another lunar eclipse in Scorpio, meaning whatever intentions we set during this new moon eclipse, whatever new beginnings we embrace, well, things will be released once again during the full moon eclipse next year. So during this new moon eclipse, we will be piercing the veil. We will break through something difficult and challenging. We will see past all illusions, and we will want to get to the root of our problems. It's a moon of great truth and honesty, but it's also a moon of great resilience, determination as well, emotional strength, and inner control. So on that note, let's get into these signs. Let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 7th house, so looking at you Taurus, sun, moon, and risings. Perhaps during this time, you will build momentum when it comes to your relationships and partnerships, and also when it comes to the unconscious parts of yourself. Perhaps you set new intentions to do with your emotional strength within these areas. You show great determination, or perhaps you set out to start something new with others. You have no time for messing around within your relationships. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 3rd house, so looking at you Virgo, sun, moon, and risings. During this time, you build momentum when it comes to your education, when it comes to your studies, and also when it comes to your mindset. Perhaps you set new intentions to do with your emotional strength within these areas. You practice strong willpower. Or maybe you set out to start something new within conversations. You want to address discussions and even research head on, whilst also being strategic. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 11th house, so looking at you Capricorn, sun, moon, and risings. During this time, maybe you build momentum when it comes to your group efforts and alliances, and also when it comes to your hopes for the future. Perhaps you set new intentions to do with your emotional strength within these areas. You show great courage and determination. Or maybe you set out to start something new within communities that you're a part of. You want to make a profound and meaningful impact. The second thing you need to know about this new moon solar eclipse is, like I said, it will conjunct Venus as well. And Venus will also be at 2 degrees. Therefore, there is something quite unique about this eclipse, because with Venus here, this suggests huge changes within our relationships, massive shifts toward our money attitudes, great transformations when it comes to our self-worth and our inner value. So, what could this look like? Well, it could look like people breaking up or deepening their bonds. It could look like money breakthroughs or security upheavals. Perhaps you reach out to a friend or a close relative who really needs support, or you lean on your family, or you consider how you can remain strong for someone you care about. You might possibly realize how much you love someone, how much you appreciate them, and how you don't tell them often enough that you value them dearly. This could also be a situation where you transform your views towards spending and money, or you explore something that you hadn't really considered before in regard to your physical security and your inner security as well. And another possibility is that you feel a stronger sense of self-worth, or you change drastically. There is some type of revelation that you have, and something just seems to click. Something clicks into place, and so you feel different. Your perception of yourself shifts in such an intense way, though on the other hand, perhaps it's something very challenging or devastating that leads to these very insights. Still, like I said, Venus is about love and harmony and unity. And so with Venus being in Scorpio, this is about unifying and connecting in an intense and intimate way. So anything you are refusing to address within yourself, anything that is holding you back from reaching out and unifying, well, it appears as if this new moon is going to force you to look at your resistance. Scorpio energy is associated with our subconscious, and so maybe it's our subconscious fears, impulses and drives that hold us back from truly connecting. Then again, perhaps it's also about being able to set boundaries and sticking to those boundaries strongly. Scorpios are usually the first ones to say, hey, enough is enough, and I no longer welcome this type of behavior. Yeah, Scorpios will tell you fast if you are pissing them off. And they will tell you what they are willing to tolerate and what they're not willing to tolerate. They value directness and honesty. No matter how grim or dark or messed up the situation is, tell them the truth straight up. They will see right through your darkness, through your BS. Therefore, during this new moon, see through your own BS or get a Scorpio to tell you what they see. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, it's a time to have a deep look at ourselves and to stop pretending. It's time to be honest with ourselves. I'm certainly talking to myself here as well. All right, so let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 8th house. So looking at you, Aries, Sun, Moon, and risings. Perhaps during this time, you will build momentum when it comes to any unresolved traumas, fears, and repressed emotions, and also when it comes to your attitudes towards sharing. Maybe it's about being very honest and upfront with yourself about these things, or being upfront with others. My goodness, I have an Aries moon and I am relating to this so hard. It's time to see through your own BS when it comes to these areas. Then again, maybe you set a few boundaries, okay? Or you address what is holding you back when it comes to intimate matters. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 4th house. So looking at you, Leo, Sun, Moon, and risings. Perhaps during this time, you build momentum when it comes to your living situation, when it comes to your family life, and also when it comes to how you are in private with those closest to you. Maybe it's about being honest and upfront about these things. It's time to see through your own BS when it comes to these areas. Then again, maybe you set a few boundaries or you address what is holding you back when it comes to emotional matters, when it comes to private matters. But then let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 12th house. So looking at you, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and risings. Perhaps during this time, you build momentum when it comes to your spiritual life, when it comes to your alone time, and also when it comes to the ways you properly recharge. Okay, maybe it's about being honest and upfront about these things. It's time to see through your own BS when it comes to these areas. Then again, maybe you set a few boundaries or you address what is holding you back when it comes to your internal matters, when it comes to how you are when you are behind the scenes. The third thing you need to know about this solar eclipse in Scorpio is the Sun, Moon, and Venus in Scorpio will all square Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto being one of the dispositors of this new moon. Okay, so here we notice power struggles, corruption, upheavals, destruction, chaos, and harsh truths, harsh realities. It will feel as if you're being tested during this new moon, as if your commitments are being tested, your trust and loyalty as well. Any business matters, any professional relationships, they can feel challenging. The relationships we have with members of authority will also be challenged, or even thinking about our intimate relationships and how the security of those relationships will be challenged. The stability of those relationships will be challenged. The way I see it is nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to agree or get along, or at least it can be challenging to agree. Though more on that in a moment when we look at Mercury in Libra. Still, there seems to be a lack of cooperation, a lack of compromise, because there's such powerful emotions involved. So this unwillingness to see where the other person is coming from, because we are so wrapped up in our own emotional stubbornness. Now, with that being said, maybe some of us just we're not ready, okay? We need time to work through our emotional chaos, or what's going on beneath the surface. Or maybe we aren't even aware of how guarded we're being, how protective we're being. There is this message of needing to protect ourselves because we don't want to live through something far too painful, or maybe because we're afraid of the reactions from other people. Or maybe it's our own pain that is blocking us. It's our pain that is keeping us from change. It's keeping us from growth. Perhaps the pain we feel on the inside isn't something we want to burden other people with. Yet, no matter how much we try to suppress our deeper emotions, they end up coming out in other ways. Therefore, this new moon is teaching us a thing or two about how destructive our own inner lives can be at times, how destructive our own inner lives can be towards ourselves and also towards others, and how much too often we don't let others know. We don't ask for help because we think we can manage it all on our own. And sure, yes, Scorpio is a sign of inner strength and courage, meaning we can be emotional fighters. Perhaps we're stronger than we actually think. We can get through things alone if we need to. But what about times when the emotional weight is just far too much to carry? What if we need to let it out? What if we could release our emotions in a healthy way? So let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 5th house. So looking at you Cancer, Sun, Moon and risings. During this time, you will build momentum when it comes to your self-expression, when it comes to fun time, and also when it comes to any children you have or would like to have. But at the same time, you realize how much you try to keep things together for your partners and for your children. How you might suppress your emotions within your relationships. Therefore, during this new moon, perhaps you release your emotions, or you find a sort of healthy outlet for them. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 1st house, so looking at you Scorpio, Sun, Moon and risings. During this time, you build momentum when it comes to your life path, when it comes to your future direction, and also when it comes to your persona, your identity. But at the same time, maybe you realize how much you try to keep things together within conversations, or how much you try to keep things together so you can move forward in life. How you might suppress your emotions when you're speaking with others. And so therefore, during this new moon, you release your emotions, or you find some type of healthy outlet for them. The 4th thing you need to know about this new moon is the Sun, Moon and Venus in Scorpio will all conjunct Mercury in Libra. And as I was saying a moment ago, during this new moon, it seems as if nobody really wants to agree or get along because of their powerful emotions. There is an unwillingness to listen because of emotional stubbornness. But keeping in mind, Mercury will also square Pluto, okay? But with this conjunction to Mercury, there are also elements of balance and considering both or all sides within conversations. We might feel more social, or we might want to connect with others in a communicative way. But when there are power struggles, when there's things like chaos and disturbances, distress, most likely we aren't going to accept these things. Maybe some of us walk away from discord, or we make sure justice is served by saying the thing. Or we possibly feel like we are being pulled in a few different directions as we overthink ourselves to death. There is a part of us that just wants people to get along, but there is another part of us that wants to see others get what is coming to them. We might not want to get caught up in any chaos whilst simultaneously stirring the pot. There is a ton of passion and intensity during this eclipse, but we don't want to be too shaken up mentally. For instance, this can look like us considering what value we add to conversations, or thinking over the value we will receive when we do contribute. Maybe certain discussions simply aren't worth it, or maybe we feel bolder and braver to contribute. We are more willing to say what needs to be said, especially if it means standing up for what is right and fair and true in our eyes. So let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 9th house, so looking at you Pisces sun, moon and risings. During this time, you will build momentum when it comes to your deeply held beliefs, when it comes to your worldviews, and also when it comes to any traveling you're doing or you wish to do. And at the same time, you're more willing to say what needs to be said within your intimate / close relationships. But it's also these conversations that are connected to power struggles within your friendships, within your group involvements. Or maybe it's that you want to stand up for what is right when it comes to sharing with friends. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 6th house, so looking at you Gemini, sun, moon and risings. During this time, maybe you build momentum when it comes to your working life and your health, and also when it comes to your productivity and daily tasks. But at the same time, you're more willing to say what needs to be said within your romantic relationships. But it's also these conversations that are connected to power struggles within your intimate / close relationships. Or maybe it's that you want to stand up for what is right when it comes to sensitive matters, especially if your loved ones are impacted. And the 5th and final thing you need to know about this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio taking place on the 25th of October 2022 is that the sun, moon and Venus in Scorpio will all trine Mars in Gemini. I do apologize, by the way, my nose, I'm so stuffy, I've had the cold the past couple of weeks. Anyway, Mars here is the other dispositor of this new moon. Okay, so Mars will station retrograde a few days after this eclipse. Mars will station retrograde on the 30th of October, right up until the 12th of January 2023 next year. Mars now is in its shadow period, but with this trine going on, this is an opportunity to work with Mars direct. Therefore, during this eclipse, we might possess great focus. We have this mental determination. Not only do we feel emotionally strong, but we feel mentally strong. This is an opportunity to get the answers we are looking for before we go through this period of further introspection. So you might set intentions to do with teaching leadership or communication leadership. Or it could be that you feel driven to make things happen within your intellectual pursuits. You feel driven to ask questions and to gain more information. And you feel motivated by the likes of sales, marketing, media, technology, and research. Better yet, with all of this Scorpio energy, you want to dive deeper. You want to unravel hidden knowledge, and you want to feel powerful when it comes to the likes of communicating, teaching, and learning. So on that note, let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 2nd house. So looking at you Libra, sun, moon, and risings. During this time, maybe you build momentum when it comes to your possessions, when it comes to your finances, and also when it comes to your earning potential. And at the same time, you feel determined to focus on your broadcasting goals, or you feel motivated by your strong desires to teach and to share knowledge with the world. Maybe you wish to be a philosophical leader or a legal leader, or maybe it's such things that are tied to your income, or they are tied to your talents, to your skills. Or let's say this eclipse is taking place in your 10th house, so looking at you Aquarius, sun, moon, and risings. During this time, you build momentum when it comes to your career and purpose, and also when it comes to your accomplishments, when it comes to your achievements. And at the same time, you feel determined to focus on your creativity goals, or you feel motivated by your strong desires to take a risk or to have children one day, possibly. Maybe you wish to be an entertainment leader or a sports leader or a parent. And perhaps it's such things that are tied to your public image. They're tied to your professional life. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video talking about the 5 things that you need to know about this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio taking place on the 25th of October 2022. Please let me know if you found this video to be helpful today. I would really appreciate that. And as always, let us know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye! Happy new moon eclipse!